Hello and welcome to this episode of Polarizer 002. Today I'm going to show you how can we merge three photos into an HDR photo using the DXO Photolab. Actually, in order to merge them together, I have to use the NIK collection tool because DXO Photolab does not support not merging into an HDR and not merging into panorama. They lack these features, but I can do the HDR with the NIK collection tool. I don't have the recent update of NIK collection, which is NIK collection 2. I have the free version that Google distributed them 2 years ago. And this update of Photolab 2.3 recognize this installation in my PC, and it's accessible from DXO Photolab. So let's see our three images. Right now they are rated with 1 star. Just to remind you, in order to rate with star, you just press the control and the number of the stars that you want. Control 2, control 3. I will put it again on control 1. If I want to filter and show only the rated photos, I go to the filter and select it. And let's double click one of the photos and we are in the customize module. I will select the whole 3 photos with the shift and the mouse, and I will select the right NIK collection tool. There is the HDR FX Pro 2. Now, once I'm selecting this tool, we can see that Photolab has to convert my raw photo into TIFF 16-bit. It is because I have the free version. If you had the NIK collection 2, it could do it on raw, but my version of NIK collection works only on TIFF, so it converts all the photos into TIFF. Now they are here, and I can see that my NIK collection tool is already opened, activated. Now, since I shot with a manual lens, it was a Samyang 14 millimeters ultra wide angle lens, the photo doesn't really recognize the bracketing that I've used. I used two stops for each bracketing, so I have to determine it manually. Once I determined my bracketing, I don't need to use the ghost reduction. Usually you use it when you have trees with leaves moving in the wind, and I can just create an HDR. Now it's creating the HDR. When the HDR is ready, on the left hand there are filters that I can use in order to give different looks to my photo. But I'm not going to use those filters. I will go back to DXO Photolab and I will finish my editing in DXO Photolab. This is the HDR photo. You can see the filters, okay? Now we are on the default. There is balanced, deep, all kind of filters that you can see, black and white. Looks nice, you know. I may use it later. Let's go back to the default and save the photo to go back to DXO Photolab. Now this version of NIK collection tool saves the photo not in the same folder, but it saves it in the document photo, which is now in Hebrew. And our last edited photo is this one. I will take it to my folder. Okay, it's 963 NIK HDR. Pay attention, I have pasted the photo into my folder, and since DXO Photolab doesn't use any catalog, I don't have to import anything. It's already in my folder, this photo. It's already accessible, which is, I have to find it. It's this one. HDR2 TIFF. Let me just check it to be sure. Yeah, it's HDR2. Okay, so let's go to our photo. This is our merge photo of HDR. Now, let's do some corrections. First of all, let's correct the distortion. Again, because it's a manual lens, I have to do it manually. Otherwise, for other lenses, I have the optic module and it could be handled automatically. So I'm selecting the fisheye, and I want to have this horizon to be straight line. In order to be sure that it's a straight line, let's overlay the grid, and I will change the distortion correction to check that it's leveled. I can see it here that it's quite straight. If I want to level the photo, and now I want to level the horizon, which seems to be quite leveled, but let's check it. I put this line at the horizon, it's leveled. Okay, now let's remove the grid, Ctrl G, and let's use our Clear View Plus, which I like it. Let's add some, I will reduce the effect of this one, and let's add some micro contrast. Okay, did you see the effect on the water? Again, I will switch it off, switch it on. You can see the effect on the water and on the rock. Right now I have some shadows here on the left hand. So in order to remove this shadow, I will use the local adjustment. It's on the top menu. Right click on the mouse and selecting new mask, selecting the control point. I will select this control point. As you know, the circle, it doesn't select the mask. It is limiting the mask. The mask is all these areas with the same tone, with same color, with the same texture as this point. And if we would like to see the mask, Control just M. Pressing the M, we can see the mask itself. M again, and the mask is, and we can see the photo. And now I will increase the shadows. And ding, 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 ding. Let's increase a little bit the exposure too. I think it's enough. And let's finish this local adjustment. I would like to increase the micro contrast here on this rock. So I will select in local adjustment this area. Let's see the masking, M. Yeah, this is the area that I would like. And first of all, I will make it a little bit darker. This is the micro contrast slider. I will increase it. And maybe we can try this Clear View Plus. I don't see any anything special, and I will reduce the highlights. Yeah, looks better for me. We can have some other local adjustment on the water here. So we will select new masking, and I will remain on these control points. Now let's see our selection. You can see. Let's select, let's increase. Now the selection, you see how good is this control points. I already selected this water. As we can see in the control point, the equalizer, it's divided into 3 groups. The first one is related to lighting and exposure. The second one related to vibrance, saturation, and white balance. And the third group is related to sharpness. So let's go into vibrance and saturation and increase the saturation of the water. And I will increase the saturation too more. And let's see how would the exposure affect. It's too much. Let's reduce it to see how. I like this one. You may like some other values, but it's okay. It's okay for me. Now I have a problem. I have a problem that this rock doesn't stand out from the background. But before I'm going to use it, let's use some graduated filter for the sky. I will select the graduated filter and I will reduce it less. Now, in graduated filter, from the top of the photo up to this point, the intensity of the corrections is 100%, and from this point, up to this line, it goes gradually, it goes from 100% to 0. So I will reduce the exposure. I will increase the clear view, contrast, and the contrast itself. And I will have another mask like this. And I will reduce a little bit the sky, and another one, and reduce more. Okay. Let's see how was the photo before the correction. Control D gives us the source photo, and this is the edited. Let's see how can we manage with the rock. In order to select the rock, I can use either control points or some other tools. I will use the automatic brush tool, auto masking. Now, you can see I will change the size of the mask of the brush. Now, you can see the main core of this brush is a more solid color, and which means that wherever this solid color goes, it means that I want this selection. And in the less solid color brush, it means that this is the area of the border of the outline of my structure. So I'm going to select it like this. All I have to do is to keep the solid color inside my object. And now when I will select, let's do it very intensity. Okay, you can see that here I have some selection that I want to delete. In order to do it, I will right click, I will select the eraser, and now I can erase, I can change the size of the eraser, and I can erase this area from my selection. Okay, now you can see there are some other selections, but let's leave them. Now I want to distinguish the rock from the background. I will reduce the exposure, reduce the shadows, reduce the midtones, will give me better look. Okay. So we have started with this photo, Control D, and now we are in this one. And let's reduce the exposure. Okay, I like this photo, and that's it. Thank you for joining me, and see you in the next episode.